Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome to one of the last videos of this prediction series for the 2020-2021 NFL playoffs and what might be the best playoff game not only this year but in a while. We had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Green Bay Packers. This one is absolutely amazing. I mean, you got the story of Brady and Rodgers. Well, that's really about it. But still, it's such a big story that it's just absolutely amazing. This should be an amazing game. I don't know how to say it. The offenses are two of the best in the league. Defenses are actually very good. The Buccaneers have one of the best run defenses, and Green Bay just has a solid and all around defense. But let's go ahead and get right into this. If you haven't seen any of these videos before, it goes over like my thought process for each game. Why I think the Buccaneers will win. Like in this case, Buccaneers will win. The Packers will win. Why the Buccaneers will lose and why the Packers will lose. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Why will the Buccaneers win? This was my main point in last video. Tom Brady. He's 9-4 in championship games. That means he's been to 9 Super Bowls. And he's insane. 9 Super Bowls. I saw another stat today. He's beaten more NFC teams in the playoff. He's beaten the same amount of teams in the NFC playoffs as Drew Brees has. Yeesh, I can't speak. Yeah, because he's beat 2 this year. 6. Tom Brady's amazing, but in the championship game in the AFC, 9-4. Who are his 4 losses against? Well, he lost to the Broncos twice in 2015, 2013. In 2013, the Broncos team, we all know, got obliterated by the Seahawks. But then in 2015, the Broncos team won the Super Bowl. Who else has Brady lost to? The 2012 Ravens. They won the Super Bowl. 2006 Colts. They won the Super Bowl. So his only real bad championship game loss was against the 2013 Broncos. And I think that, if I'm not mistaken, that's the first year of Peyton Manning in Denver, if not the second. So they're still working things out there. So Tom Brady has been insane in the championship game. And not only in the championship game, against the Packers. Tom Brady has played the Packers 6 times and won 4 of those. He's beaten Rodgers twice, lost to him once, beat Matt Flynn once, and was 1-1 versus Brett Favre. But yeah, you put those both together. Tom Brady has at least double the amount of wins. How you break it down, it's the Packers. He went 4-2. Championship games, he had more than double there. Tom Brady is the main reason why the Buccaneers are here. In fact, he might be the sole reason why the Buccaneers are still in the championship game this far. Well, why else would the Buccaneers win? Well, I got 2 numbers for you: 38 and 10. Well, what do those have in common, you might ask? That was the score of the first game when these two played. Buccaneers won 38-10. Brady only threw 27 passes, which that's probably not the best. It was a pretty low night. 17-27 from Brady, 166 yards, but 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. And Ronald Jones, 23 carries, 113 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's amazing. And Gronk had an amazing game in there too. 5 catches, 78 yards for touchdown. But their defense, 5 sacks, 13 QB hits, 2 interceptions, and one of those leading to a touchdown. That's absolutely amazing, and if history holds up, well then the Buccaneers are going to win. Next, we mentioned Ronald Jones. What about their other running back, Leonard Fournette? Fournette has been amazing in this playoffs versus Washington. 19 carries, 93 yards, 1 touchdown, 4 receptions for 39 yards. Then against New Orleans, a step back, but 17 carries, 63 yards, but then in the air, 5 receptions, 44 yards, and a touchdown. Fournette has looked like a good running back. Maybe not as good as he was in 2017, or as good as people thought he was going to be, but still very good. And the final reason I feel worth mentioning, there are so many other reasons why the Buccaneers will win, and why the Packers will win when I get there. But the Buccaneers' pass defense. 3 interceptions versus New Orleans, 1 versus Washington. Sean Murphy Bunting had 1 in each. They also made Drew Brees look inexperienced. They didn't sack him. They did not sack him, but they made him rush. They like some of those passes. Drew Brees did not look confident making those throws. Didn't look I can't speak. Comfortable in the pocket. This pass defense is legit. The pass rush that they can get, combined with Sean Murphy bunting and the rest of the secondary, absolutely amazing. Well, why will the Packers win? Well, they got the MVP. Well, the more than likely MVP, Aaron Rodgers, 4,299 yards this year, 48 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 84.3 QBR. You can't ask for better stats, really, unless you want 5,000 yards, 50 touchdowns. Like that's the closest thing you compare to is Patrick Mahomes' MVP season. I mean, the yards aren't quite there, but 48 touchdowns, that's 2 off. 5 interceptions, tied for first in the league among eligible QBs, and the QBR is insane. Aaron Rodgers has had one of the best seasons of his career this year, and maybe like Brady is the reason why the Packers are here. But in order to be a successful quarterback, you got to have a good wide receiver with you. He's got Devante Adams, 115 receptions, 1,374 yards, 18 touchdowns. 18. He missed games and was tied for second in receptions in the league. I think it was about 7th in yards and 1st in touchdowns. Devante Adams looked like the best receiver this year, and he proved it when in the last in the divisional round. He went up against probably the best cornerback in the league. You could throw Xavier Howard, Stephon Gilmore, J.C. Jackson. You could throw a whole bunch of names in there, but Jalen Ramsey, probably one of the best, and made him put him on highlight reels. Really, like the release where it wasn't a touchdown, but a nice little little jab step. He just has every defender just no clue what to do with him. Well, what about their defense? Well, their defense is good at giving the ball to the offense, and not necessarily in turnovers, but the time of possession is insane. Like their opponents only average 27 minutes and 15 seconds of time of possession. That's first in the NFL in 2020. And I think the key to it is they don't let up on third downs. 4.4 third down conversions per game. That's third in the league. That's it. That's all they give up is four third downs. I'm bumbling at this point. But yeah, their defense can give the ball. They don't force turnovers, but they force punts. They force bad scenarios where you eventually have to punt. But yeah, they're good at giving the ball back to Aaron Rodgers, which is a good key to winning. And in this last week, they proved that offense is better than defense. Aaron Rodgers, 23 of 36, 296 yards, 2 touchdowns. Aaron Jones, 14 carries, 99 yards, 1 touchdown. Devante Adams, mentioned him earlier, 9 catches, 10 targets for 66 yards and a touchdown. And then Allen Lazard, only 4 catches on 8 targets, but the 96-yard, including that big was the huge touchdown at the end to seal it. Absolutely amazing offensive performance against the number one offense versus number one defense. Offense came out on top. Well, why would the Buccaneers lose? Well, we saw how well the Packers fared against the number one defense. Well, what happens against the 21st best defense in the pass? Well, the Buccaneers defense, that's them. 38.7 attempts per game. That's how many times the quarterback throws. 26.2 of those end up in completions for 245.8 yards per game and an average of basically 2 touchdowns per game. If we're being logical here, if Aaron Rodgers and Devante Adams did that to the Rams, who had the best defense, maybe the best, I'm not even saying maybe, the best defensive player in Aaron Donald, made him non-existent, what are they going to do to this Bucs team? It's not going to go well. Logically, with that thought process, it's not going to go well for the Buccaneers. They also get themselves in a little bit of early deficits, allowing basically a touchdown per game in the first quarter. Allowing a touchdown in the first quarter on average, and then 13.2 points in the first half. That's not against this team. They will take advantage of that. Another thing they'll take advantage of is your penalties. 5.2 per game for Tampa Bay, which leads to about 45-ish yards of penalties. Which the 5.2 penalties aren't bad, but the 45.5 yards per game is towards the bottom half of the league. Also, when we want to talk about time possession, we talked about how good the Packers defense was. Well, the Buccaneers defense, 21st in time possession. Their opponents have the ball for more than half the game, 31-02. And compare that to Green Bay's 27-15. Aaron Rodgers is going to have the ball for a long time. But why would the Packers lose? Well, they're not, like as I mentioned, they're not great at getting takeaways. Only 1.1 per game. While that's not bad, it could be worse, it's not good. And right now you're asking me one of the two best teams in the NFL. You have to have more than 1.1 takeaways per game. Also, their run defense is not good. 111.8 yards per game, 11th in the league. 24.5 in attempts, 24.5 attempts, 5th in the league, which leads to an average of 4.6 yards per attempt, which is 22nd in the league. And they allow one rushing touchdown per game, 17th. That's a defense that Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette could take advantage of. I'm not saying will, could take advantage of. And they're both pretty solid running backs. Consistency isn't necessarily there, but yeah, that does look like a suspect defense. Talked about the Buccaneers. They tend to get behind a little bit. I guess their defense gives up points early. But that might not be a concern, actually, against the Packers, contrary to most weeks, at least in the first quarter. 4.9 points in the first quarter on average. That's it. That's honestly, I think that's closer to 1.9. That's almost closer to a field goal a quarter than a touchdown. Not quite, but I had to do some tough math there. But yeah, their first quarter starts could put them in a hole. It also could just set them even. Don't know how it's going to happen there, but that could be a reason. Like if the Buccaneers just get too far ahead in the first quarter, I mean, their offense is so explosive that you might not be able to catch up with them. And the final reason for why the Packers will lose, 38-10. I think we both know. I think we all know those numbers by now. Well, actually, it might be both. There might only be like one person watching. But Aaron Rodgers was atrocious in that game. 16 of 35, 160 yards, which is pretty close to Brady's, but Brady also just didn't have a good game. 16 of 35, 160 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions for a 35.4 rating. That's bad. Aaron Jones wasn't their leading rusher. That was Jamal Williams. But Aaron Jones, 10 attempts, 15 yards, 1 touchdown. I think the one, if I remember right, the 1 touchdown was just a little sneak. And then Devante Adams, probably his worst game this year. 6 receptions, 61 yards, and 0 touchdowns. But this all leads to the most important thing. Who's going to win? Who do I think is going to win? Well, I got 2 answers. As you predicted, one where the Packers win, one where the Buccaneers win. My logic just looking at all these stats and just looking at everything, logic says I think the Packers will win. The best offense and just embarrass the number 1 defense. So my logic is saying something like 31-27 the Packers. But my gut says Brady. I said in the last one, you don't bet against Brady. And I think I'm going to stick with that. I'm saying Tom Brady wins. My gut is saying 34-30, the Buccaneers over the Packers. That's what I'm going to go with. Yeah, I think you can't bet against Brady in the playoffs unless he's playing an NFC East team. Well, actually, he got his first win against an NFC East team. Second. Forgot about the first Super Bowl. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. And if you do subscribe, you'll get to see my next video with the Chiefs and the Bills, and I'll see you then. Adios.